the the showing of On Point for Ballet Manila's 24th season. By the way, if you have this, the brochure is actually part of your press kit, so if you would like to be reminded when yung mga showing dates po nila. For Giselle, it's October 19 and October 20 at Aliu Theater in Pasay City. And of course, Sleeping Beauty, December 7 and 8. And of course, Carmina Burana and La Traviata is on February 29 and March 1 of 2020. And do not forget Snow White happening on September 7 and September 8, 2019. So we have now a complete na tayo on stage. Our artistic director and co-assistant director and our main dancers for the 24th performance of Ballet Manila. So anybody would like to ask a question, please do not be shy. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning everyone. Good morning po, Miss Lisa. I'm a big fan of yours po. I watched you perform live, siguro po 1999 sa CCP. I watched you perform the Swan Lake during the Rotary Club event po. I was in college po that time. So here is my question po for you. As a choreographer, how does it feel to complete not just one full-length show, but a trilogy? What were the problems you encountered along the process, and how did you surpass them?
Well, when I started with Cinderella 3 years ago, I actually did not think na magiging trilogy yung Princess series, no? Because ang plano ko lang talaga at that time was to do Cinderella. And I wanted it to be a magical fairy tale. I wanted the audience to be laughing out loud with the dancers and having a lot of fun on stage. And I think we really achieved that with Cinderella. And then, so I said, okay, kaya ko pala magkwento with in a ballet form, and it was really very different from all the Cinderellas from all over the world. So sabi ko sa sarili ko, okay, ituloy na natin sa Snow White kasi wala talagang ballet naman talaga na Snow White. For me, as a choreographer, the most important thing to have is the music. And once I have the music, so yung Snow White naman, yung Cinderella walang problema kasi nga may Prokofiev score, no? So may music na kaagad. Yung Snow White, ang problema ko was walang music. So naghanap talaga ako ng music ang nakinig ako ng music, and ang napakinggan ko, the first thing was the chase scene of the dwarves with the witch. That was from Massenet. So I decided to get everything from Massenet. And that worked again for Snow White. So for Sleeping Beauty, siya actually yung parang pinakamadali for me now at this point because number one, meron ka ng music. It's the music of Peter Tchaikovsky. Meron ng existing choreography na very, very classical, and it's a ballet that I've danced as Aurora so many times before. So I really knew the ballet inside and out. The challenge for me with Sleeping Beauty was to make it relevant with the conclusion of the Princess Trilogy. So I really needed to put in Cinderella, I needed to put in Snow White there. So sila yung parang naging kaibigan ni Princess Aurora sa kanyang 16th birthday. As you saw the excerpt that was done earlier. I also wanted to make it very different as well. So nag-research ako, and one of the reasons why Maleficent or Caraboose was not invited was because they did not have enough golden plates to serve the food on for the fairies. So nagkaroon ako ng keeper of the golden plates, which was Gerardo's role earlier. and I had a katalabot who's the master of ceremonies. I put all of that in the whole Sleeping Beauty story. So it's a fitting conclusion to the Princess Trilogy. But really, for a choreographer, half of the battle is won when you find the music that you want to choreograph to.
Some more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. This question is for the dancers. So aside from perfecting your craft, what have you learned from Isa Makuha and from Baliman?
Well, I feel like I learned, well, in ballet you learn discipline to begin with, but I feel as a dancer personally, I've further disciplined myself even more. I learned how to manage myself as a dancer when it comes to injuries or when you're tired or when you're nervous, things like that. And I feel with Ballet Manila and the least, it has given me the opportunity to experience lots of different. For example, we do ballet ballads, so we go out and we don't always perform on stage, in a theater. You know, sometimes we perform in the gym and things like that. So I feel with the opportunities and experiences presented for us, we get to learn on hand how to manage yourself.
Ayun na, nasagot mo na. Ay, Dila, for me naman, natutunan ko sa kanya is how you prepare yourself before going to class, before the show. Kailangan proper yung, ready mentally, physically before you do things. I think yun.
All right. Would you like to answer that too?
Hi, Romeo. What I learned from them, from artistic writers, basically, they set the bar high. So, yung kami na mga pumalit sa kanila, we have to practice and be disciplined with our craft and to give all our best talaga. Every performances, even everything I know about ballet, sa kanila ko natutunan. Choreographers, kahit mga guests namin, everything na alam ko sa dance, sa kanila ang dalawa. Yeah.
Ako po, I'm Pia Dames. 4 years na po ako nag-stay sa Ballet Manila. 4 years na po ako nag-stay sa Ballet Manila. And ang mga natutunan ko po kay Maurice and Sir Shaz, and sa BM din po, parang kung, ayun din po, parang kagaya po naman ng sinabi nila, nasabi na po nila lahat. So, kung paano lang namin alagaan yung sarili namin during class and rehearsals. Tapos, ayun po, parang sa akin, kung ano yung mga corrections na binibigay nila, ina-apply ko rin po yun as a dancer. And, ayun.
Reply to that na, yung challenge sa amin na nag-take over sa kanila, kasi nag-set sila ng standard, high standard yung sabi nila. So we need to keep that standard na kailangan yun talaga. Like kami, may mga next generation na papalik sa amin. So example kami na kailangan yun din ang standard na kailangan nilang sundan.
You're doing a great job.
All right, some more questions? Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, Idra. For the dancers, what's the most difficult choreography for each of you?
Yung pinakamahirap daw ng choreography sa On Point.
Hi. I think, well, see, we do class each day and we work on our technique each day. So every day presents a challenge in class already because you're always trying to better yourself each day. So when it comes to choreographies and ballets, it really comes from your classwork. So with each different choreography, whether it's ballet or contemporary, it presents its own challenges. So for example, like Giselle, the upper body is so important, and the style is so different to, say, Sleeping Beauty, because it all comes from a different era. So we learn how to lift our legs in class, or développés and things like that, but it's done differently with each ballet. So I feel it's not so much which choreography is challenging or more difficult for you, but it's how you adjust from each choreography, because we don't always just rehearse Giselle for 3 months and then Sleeping Beauty for another 3. We rehearse all these ballets in one go. So, when it comes to rehearsals, how quickly can you adapt? So I find that's the most difficult part of the process. It's how quickly can you change and how different can you make it. Yeah.
Thank you, Kia. Any more answers from our dancers?
And for on point, Giselle, kasi ano siya, white classic talaga siya. You cannot hide, like, pag nagsikat yung paa mo, hindi pwedeng itago. So, kitang-kita siya pag nasa stage. So, I think, yun yung pinaka-mahirap dito. Giselle.
All right. Any other question? Yes, go ahead, please.
This question is for Miss Liza. Out of all the fairy tales with a princess, as a protagonist, why did you choose Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty for your trilogy?
Why did I choose Snow White, Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty? Well, Cinderella was the first one. And that was because there's really a ballet Cinderella to the music of Prokofiev, and I wanted our own Ballet Manila version for it. I chose Snow White to be the second ballet because it's never been done before. So it was something new that I wanted to do, completely new, from the music to everything, the libretto, everything. For Sleeping Beauty, it sort of followed because, again, Ballet Manila did have The Swan, the Fairy, the Princess. So we have a big chunk excerpt of Sleeping Beauty, the ballet, but we don't have our full-length version of the Sleeping Beauty. And I felt that it was time that the company, in our 24th year, that we were actually ready for a full-length version of Sleeping Beauty. But the full-length version of Sleeping Beauty is 3.5 hours long, and it's a bit dragging, yeah, because well, it was created at the time when people would go to the ballet and go to the theater and take 30-minute, 45-minute intervals to drink champagne and eat caviar and mingle with royalty. And then they'd watch another act, and then again, drink champagne, eat caviar, watch another act. So sometimes the showing of Sleeping Beauty would go on for like 6.5 hours, But I thought that we needed to update it and definitely cut it for this millennial audience and this kind of audience that we had. So, and I really wanted a dragon. So that's why I chose Sleeping Beauty to end the trilogy. Whether there's going to be a 4th Princess Ballet in the future, I still can't answer that question, because the most challenging ballet in On Point for me as choreographer is actually not Sleeping Beauty, but La Traviata. Because for the first time, I'm tackling a tragedy. And it's, gone are the times when, okay, I wanted to be funny, Now it's like super, super serious, and, she dies, and there's betrayal, there's passion, there's lust, there's greed, there's, all of these different, very human emotions. So, nawala na yung fantasy. So that's why, for me, as a choreographer, La Traviata is actually going to be the most challenging for On Point.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello, for Miss Lisa. After the conclusion of the Princess Trilogy, can you expect original productions from Ballet Manila?
After the
Princess Trilogy.
Princess Trilogy. After that, we have so many original ballets in Ballet Manila's repertoire already. We have Ibong Adarna, we have Gerardo Francisco's Ibong Adarna, we have Alamat, Sibola, Sibunao. Of course, we have the Princess Trilogy. And then we're going to have La Traviata, Carmina Burana. These are all original ballets. We have the mga kwento ni Lola Basyang series. We have 6 mga kwento ni Lola Basyang there. So we definitely, as a company, in our mission and vision, we aim to always create an original ballet every season. Sometimes we create 2, 3, even 4 original ballets in a season. And definitely you can expect more original work from us because I feel that as Ballet Manila moves into the 25th anniversary, the 25th season and beyond, we are anchored with the classical ballets, but at the same time, we really want to grow. And in developing new original ballets, I feel that's the way we can continue to attract the audience to our theaters, to keep on creating, keep on improving, keep on telling different stories each time.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning. In the 80s, I saw both of you perform in the Meralco Theater, and it was magic. So I'm curious, when you choreograph to this young crop of dancers get to witness that magic.
I'll let Shaz answer that question.
Beautiful question. If they watch, they saw us,
If they see you during rehearsal or when you choreograph them,
We try to coach them. We tried coaching them. And sometimes we show them the videos that we performed in. And it's the way we rehearse it. That's how we part our partnership with them. That's why the men are very good partners. And the women, they're very good dancers.
What I like about our partnership is, especially because we danced together for 16 years, and we sort of like know already each other. Sometimes, we end up, we're like an old married couple. We like end up finishing each other's sentences. It's like when we meet to plan, it's like he already read my mind. So it's very, very easy. And that for me is, again, 50% of the battle is won because the process of creating together, especially I feel when we create choreography of pas de deux and corps de ballet choreographies, like sometimes I say, Shaz, ikaw na bahala sa corps de ballet. or like, Shaz, I need a lift. What can we do? And it really, we complement each other because of the experience that we've had dancing together.
Lisa and I have been together for 30 years now.
It's a long time.
Some more questions? Thank you.
My question is for the two artistic director, Lisa and Sir. What were the challenges that you face in training new ballet dancers?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's that saying, hard work trumps talent when talent does not work hard. So when we're working with new upcoming ballet dancers, whether they're still students in our school or already trainees or Ballet Manila second company or first company. I prefer to work with dancers that are really hard workers and they're really 110% there, whether it's class, rehearsals, or the performance. When you're working with new dancers, especially those that did not train from the very beginning in the Ballet Manila school, you're working with dancers that are used to a different kind of schooling. So sometimes you have to correct things that it's not wrong, it's just different. And in order to fit into the company, you want them to do it in the style that the company is used to. So that's actually very challenging because it's harder to teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah? So it's actually easier to teach them from when they're very little, and then they grow as dancers up to becoming professional dancers. But once you're working with a dancer that is already ready-made and you're trying to make them adapt to the style that you want them to do, then that's again more challenging. And I think as artistic directors, one of the things that is really challenging about working with ballet dancers from different, we have from different countries. They have all different cultures, different styles. Some of them don't understand Tagalog, so there can be a communication issue. Sometimes they don't understand the Filipino culture. So like, we have a lot of fun in rehearsals, and when people make mistakes, we sometimes really laugh and joke about it, and sometimes it doesn't it's not interpreted as the same way as we look at it by the other, say, more serious, like for example our Japanese dancers, they're so serious, or the Russians, they're so serious. Why are you laughing? He fell. So again, it's a very cultural thing, communication thing, and I guess it's very, very difficult to work in our un-air conditioned studio when it's really hot. Yeah, that can be just very, very challenging. Everybody just gets very exhausted at the end of the day. But it does help their stamina though. When it's air conditioned like this, they have more stamina, they have more strength.
Thank you, Mona Lisa. Yes, one question?
Hi, Miss Lisa. Watched of course, the preview also last year, and you've got an excellent lineup of shows also this year. Now, this is your 24th. Next year is your 25th. What does that entail? Will there be, of course, you're doing great right now, but does that mean you're going to have bigger production, bigger shows next year because it's your silver anniversary?
We plan to present 5 productions next year, not just 4.
Oh, wow.
We have plans for an original ballet, maybe 2. And then we're expanding our season to involve a national tour and we really want to make the 25th season a really nice mix of looking back and moving forward. So there's going to be a classical ballet for sure. It's probably going to be La Bayadere, and then there's going to be an original ballet for sure. There's going to be some repeats of our most iconic. We sort of started it with Iconic 1.0 and Iconic 2.0 last season, And we're just slowly building into the 25th year, but we don't want the 25th year to be so, all-encompassing that it's going to be hard to match for the 26th. So it's going to be very, very carefully curated to be exciting and to have something for all. The goal for me as artistic director when we're planning a season is to make something available for every kind of audience. And that's really the goal, is to keep the audience coming back to the theater for more.
The tour that you mentioned, is it going to be national, or is it also going to be brought outside the country? Are there plans?
At this point, we're going national with Gerardo Francisco Silva Madarna. And we've actually already performed it in Israel. I got another invitation to perform it in a Cyprus festival. We have invitations to perform it abroad, but at this point, we need to direct our resources to celebrating the 25th anniversary here in the Philippines.
Thank you so much.
Some more questions from our friends in the media.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ivo Palawander. Ma'am Lisa, my question is, why is, I think na-mention nyo na kanina yung mga original productions ninyo. Why is there's no Filipino team lineup for the 24th season? And do we expecting, Ballet Manila is importing some ballerinas from abroad? Wala po bang naka-line up for this season?
No, we're not expecting anybody from abroad this season. We're doing everything with, I have 5 principal dancers in the company and so many very, very capable soloists to dance the classics like Giselle and, the Sleeping Beauty. We are doing an original Filipino ballet for the 25th. Not for the 24th.
Anybody else would like to ask a question? Yes, please, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, Mars.
Congratulations, and super excited for On Point. I'm just curious, how did Carmina Burana get included in your lineup for this season? Because it's, music pa lang is bongga na, di ba? So it's gonna also, Rudy's gonna be back to choreograph it. Yeah, so I'm just curious, how it, tapos pa sila ng La Traviata, so, yung segue nila is also something to look forward to. So, and everybody's gonna be having a part in that process. Yeah, I'm just curious about Carmina.
Carmina Burana's journey started with a performance of the Classical Music Foundation. Andrew Fernando, who's artistic director of the Classical Music Foundation, contacted me asking for choreography for a Carmina Burana excerpt that they were presenting as part of the KMF's concert in the Maybank Theater. This was last year. And Rudy De Dios was the one who choreographed that excerpt. And so when I attended that performance and watched that excerpt, I said, Rudy, why don't you choreograph a whole Carmina Burana? We just had to postpone the world premiere of our Carmina Burana because we didn't want it to be too close to the Carmina Burana of Ballet Philippines.
Hi, good afternoon. Leo here from Awoleda Village. Well, congratulations for your 24th season. So year after year, inaabangan talaga ng netizens yung video review for each lineup for the season. So I'm just curious kung kailang year siya nagsimula and for this year, ano yung pinaka-main concept for each? Kung kailan nagsimula yung video teaser. So for last year meron din, kailan ba siya nag-start?
I think, when did it start, yung video? 3 years ago, 4 years the video. Doing this. Mga 3 years ago, I think, yeah, we started using the video. I mean, we started really using using social media, using the internet, using a lot of the available tools to continue to market. As I said, ang pakay talaga namin, ang target talaga namin is to bring new audiences. And that's one of the ways that we can attract new audiences to the theater.
Yeah, for this year, really commend you kasi ang daming goosebumps while watching the video.
Wow! So I think we need to give our marketing team a big round of applause.
And my second question goes to Pia. So, I'm just curious kung anong feeling mo to be sort of a cover girl for this performance season because you're the face of one part.
Siyempre, grateful kasi, tsaka,
Pia was just promoted to principal dancer kasi at the end of last
yes po,
season.
tapos very excited po ako for this season kasi parang papasok po ko na as a principal dancer sa Ballet Manila. So, grateful din po ako na maging cover girl. Ayun po.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to ask a question? Or friends from the media? Some more questions? So we're good?
Yeah.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen,